100 days on the ground, and that doesn't include travel time and everything, more than 2 years just for one story, it's really not economically smart, basically. But the reason I was able to do that is because I had been writing for a while. I figured I would do a book as well. I ended up doing other stories connected to it. So this is not the kind of project I would have done when I was first starting out in China. Or if I had done it, I would have, I would have had to be very careful about my expenses. So once you're more established, it's easier to do this kind of project. But I tried to have some alternatives. Actually, when I first went to this place, I thought I might follow construction crews and so I spent a lot of time talking to guys who worked on buildings, on construction buildings, and I got to know a lot of them. And I visited them probably 3 or 4 times, and I also met some migrants, and I was thinking I might follow a couple people as they go from job to job. And I kept in touch with them for about 3 or 4 trips, and then at that point, I realized I had to sort of focus my resources. Because you go into a place, and you can't talk to everybody, and at a certain point you need to get depth, and so I needed to learn in that factory like the story of that machine and the story of the different workers, and I was not going to get that unless I spent lots of time there. So I had to commit. At a certain point I felt like I had to commit. So I committed to following that factory. After I think it was about 4 trips, I realized that's going to be my focus. And so there was a risk, but I sort of, because like they almost went out of business actually, and they almost went bankrupt. And I didn't want them to go bankrupt. It wouldn't have been as good for my story, I felt like. But the truth is, whatever happens, it will tell you something, at that point. I felt like it was interesting enough, and I'd seen enough interesting things that no matter how it turned out, it would reveal something about this area. But yeah, there is risk involved in this sort of project. And when I was doing it, when I was younger, I did some things like this, and I found it very stressful because I was never sure. But as time's gone on, I've realized you always get interesting material with more time spent, and I feel much more at ease with it now because I've seen how it works, how it happens. Yep.
I have 2 questions actually. The first one is I make reference to your